face it, my body, head, and soul. Many miles away, I could start a perfect story. Find myself and find out glory. This deceptive world, giving me the sign, giving me the sign. Giving me the sign, giving me the sign.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Queens, where we explore the female characters in science fiction television, shows, movies, books, games, art, and anywhere female characters of science fiction are featured. We are asking everyone here tonight, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe and like and share our videos. That would definitely be helpful for us, and it'll help us grow our channel. And if you want to support Sci-Fi Queens, right there, going across the screen is our merch store. Just purchase something from our merch store. Any little bit helps. My name is Nita, and joining me is my co-host Sarah. And this week,
Hey,
we are going to be discussing the female characters of the Orville, the crew and the villains, and the different alien species. How are you doing tonight, Sarah?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. Can't complain. So,
I'm excited. I really like the Orville.
yeah, see, that's where I was going. What's your thoughts on the Orville before we start in with the characters?
Well, I love it, and I take it as I consider it just another like timeline in Trek because it was supposed to be Trek, and Seth pitched it as Trek, and then they wouldn't take it, so then he's like, "Fine, I'll go make it on my own." And you know, so to me, it feels like Trek. It looks like Trek. I mean, other than in the name, it is Trek, and essentially it is. They have the same kind of principles, I think.
As the Federation, yes.
Yes,
I think though it's like a love letter to Trek, an
yes, an homage.
homage to
Yeah,
Trek. I don't see it as this is the funny Trek.
no,
I think that Seth MacFarlane is a comedian, so when he writes something, his comedy is going to come across those things. If you look at all the things that he has done, they're pretty been comedy based.
yeah,
Uh, but I love the homage, the love letter to Trek. I wish we had more seasons. It only has three. I wish we had more seasons because there's so
praying
much
for
they
four.
can do. We're hoping for four. I mean, we saw a lot of the characters. Those of you who saw on Peacock Ted, the series, saw a lot of characters from the Orville on there, okay,
Yep,
which I thought was really awesome that he went back to those people and those actors and gave them a
and got
job.
him work. Yeah,
Yeah,
gave him
that's
work.
fantastic, right? But it made me scared. It made me wonder, we
Well, it
getting
just. I think
Orville.
you have to remember too that everything before the strike there was the there was the COVID freeze for everything. So we lost a lot of
Exactly.
shows, and a lot of shows and even movies got put on hold because of that, because of the
Yes,
restrictions and everything. So I mean, we got movies and shows that were entirely scrapped. So let's
yes.
just keep our
Exactly.
fingers crossed that we get something and
Yes.
at
Yeah.
least know that he's a good human and kept his friends employed.
Yeah, and I think that that definitely is demonstrated there, and I really wanted to highlight that about him,
Yeah.
because in this day and age where so many negativities and negative stories are coming out about different people in Hollywood, we can say something positive about a creator of a show that we love and that we're speaking of tonight about.
Yep.
I do want to excuse myself if I stop in the middle of a sentence and pause and mute myself. It's because I'm fighting a cold of some kind, or I'm getting a cold and have a cough, and it kind of comes on a little sudden. So I do
Yeah.
apologize. But Sarah will be taking over the reins if I mute myself. She's pretty awesome that way. But let's get into the characters of the
Yep.
Orville. Sarah, We're going to start out with, of course, Commander Kelly Grayson, the first officer
Yes.
of the Orville. Her species is human and is played by the beautiful and talented Adrienne Paliski. Talk to me about her character, how the character speaks to you, what you think of her, and how she came aboard the Orville.
Well, I really I like her character. I do kind of feel that she has that kind of that privileged kind of, you know what I mean? She, because she had her foot in the door to begin with, and then the fact that she's Ed's ex-wife, that's kind of, that puts tension and conflict there. But also, we saw a lot of depth to her when we went back
Yes.
and saw in that timeline or whatever it was, when we went back and saw what would have been, and it was so different, and it was kind of eye-opening. So
Yeah. I
anyways.
think that from the very beginning, she's portrayed as someone who's very remorseful about what happened in the marriage, right? I
Hmm.
think that by this time, um,
Yes.
there's going to be some spoilers. So if you haven't seen the Orville and you are interested in, be aware that there will be spoilers being spoken to tonight. We can't avoid them if we're going to be talking about these characters.
Right.
They bring her on in not a very positive light as someone who has an affair in their
Yeah,
home.
she's the bad guy.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
their home, in their marital bed, and he walks in on it coming from work, but we don't know the backstory and we don't know it
Yeah,
for
we
a
don't know what
while.
happened what got there, what got him
Yes,
to that
and
point.
we don't know this for like quite a few episodes in. Um and we see this character who feels so remorseful and so horrible that she knows that, because the affair and the breakup and the divorce really sends the captain, well, the then commander, he wasn't a captain, into a bad kind of state of mind where he's drinking and not really doing the things that he normally would as a union officer. And then
Right.
here comes uh, Commander Grayson, who apparently comes from an influential family, has a dad who's best friends with an admiral. He owes the dad a favor, so he does her a favor instead, because her dad has now, is deceased, and allows her to be the first officer of the Orville while putting her ex-husband in charge. They probably would have overlooked him without her. And
Yeah.
we learned that later on. And she's not really necessarily at fault with what happened. It's implied that the pheromones of the recipient might have influenced her to do what she did.
Yeah.
And that's really an important part of her character, because if you see her throughout the show, the way the writers write her is not someone that you would expect that behavior from.
No, she seems very moral and up upstanding, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Just, very um she follows the rules. I mean, she breaks
Yes.
them sometimes, but more rule following than not.
Hmm.
She's not like some of the
Yes.
other characters that blatantly break the rules or flaunt them.
Yes. And let
Um
me tell you, she is the toughest cookie around. If I
oh
were
yeah.
to have a starship, I want her as my first officer. I mean, she gets into fist fights with krills and mocklins, which are
Yep.
stronger than humans. Okay, the only thing equal to a mocklin would be a Salayan. That's pretty amazing, the fighting that she does. I mean,
Yeah,
she
her
could take a
hand-to-hand combat.
punch.
Yeah.
Her hand-to-hand combat is unmatched. They make her so strong and intelligent and brave. I absolutely love the writing of this character
Yes.
and the way
Well, I
she
mean, because
really comes through.
she could have been written, um, as a
Ditzy,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, a bimbo, a
a
ditzy, and
bimbo.
just like, she's blonde, so let's make her the dumb
Hmm.
blonde, but she is not, and I
No.
appreciate that. I
Yes.
enjoy that she's not, the
Hmm.
typical, and even though she's the first officer, she doesn't, she does listen to the captain, but she also doesn't lay down and, you know, take take it. Like if it's a bad decision, she calls him on it.
Yes, I like that about them. I like the fact
Yeah.
that they can do that with each other.
Yeah, their
I think
dynamic is
that
good.
when it comes to first officers, you want somebody who's going to challenge the captain and keep the captain kind of uh, narrowed and focused.
Yeah.
And I think she's able to do that. She
Yes.
does that very well. I think that, again, the writers of the Orville, amazing writers. They know how to write female characters. They do.
Yes.
And I don't think they've ever sexualized a character. Um, I think that there's a time and a place for certain things,
Right.
but having a character that is 100% all about how she looks, and like, I love Deanna Troy, but the first few years on the Enterprise, she was they wrote her like the girl next door, the pretty girl next door.
Yeah, she was eye
Eh,
candy.
she was eye candy, and this
Yeah.
actress is an amazing actress. She could
Yeah.
give more, and we see that as the years go
Later
by.
on, yeah.
But they didn't do that here. They went
No.
headstrong with good characters.
Yes.
Absolutely. And now we're going to go to the security officers.
Yeah.
Two amazing female characters. We have Lieutenant Alana Katan. Her species is Salayan, and is played by
Yep.
Halston Sage, which is an incredible actress. She
Yes.
is brilliant. I've seen her in other things. She is brilliant. And I think that this is really amazing. Her character, you think, oh, she's so tiny because she's so petite.
She's so strong.
But she's strong. And I kind of relate to her because, as someone who's only 11, I look a lot younger than my age. I think I look my age, but people don't always believe that I'm 52. Um, it, they tend to treat you, when you look petite and small and young, that way. They really do infantilize you, and it
Yes.
is insulting. And I think that in the beginning there wasn't in a they weren't infantilizing her, but I think they were concerned. Like, the captain seemed
Well,
concerned
and
with
well, and
her.
that was part of it too, is that that was the learning process for them, and I think that that
Hmm.
was part of. I mean, that was properly structured into the shows, that they needed
Yes.
to learn how to accept other races and not just think of
Hmm.
everybody in the human frame of things, because there's other races out there. There's other races on the ship. Not everybody functions the same. Not everybody, not everybody's family structure is the same. Not everybody's raised the same, just the way, and not everybody's work ethic is the same.
Exactly.
It's just the way that they addressed it. I like that, because
Yes.
it was a little bit different. I mean, and they did the total human, like, oh my god, you look like a kid, which is, McFarlane's funny side coming out, because
Yes.
he's got to put some humor in there, but
And they did address it
they
in the
handled it
second
well.
episode, when she was left in charge, and
Yeah.
they get captured, and he's like, "Oh, I left, Alara in charge. She's so young. She's green." And there's this concern, but she takes charge and she still saves the day.
Yes.
And again, I think that the writers wrote her character well. They wrote her as someone inexperienced, someone young, but someone willing to grow, and you saw that growth, and you saw that progression in her, and that's something I
Yes.
really think is amazing. And I was very sad to see her go as a character, um but I understand that it was, I think, good for the show for them to address the gravity difference between Saleya and the gravity of other planets, which what
Yeah.
gives them their extra strength. They don't have that in their own planet.
Right.
Um, and I think that leaving as young as she did, how it affected her. And that's kind of speaking to the world today. Do you leave your home right after high school, and you go to college or you move out, how is that going to affect you growth wise, emotionally? And how, or do you come back home? How is coming back home after being out there, how does that affect the person? And I think they really address that well. And I think that that's something that's so wonderfully addressed in her storyline. you know how did you feel about her leaving the show?
I thought it was kind of sad that she was leaving, but I liked the way they handled it. And this, like you said, it made sense, and they, they wrote it into the show, and instead of just like suddenly there's a new character. I like that they actually like created an exit for her. Does that make sense?
Yes. And they kept the door open. They
Right.
didn't
So
kill
she
the
can come
character
back.
off.
Right.
They didn't kill the character off. She can come back if she wants to. And I like that. Because when the episode first started, I didn't know she was going to be leaving the
Yeah,
show.
I didn't either.
And I was like, well, oh, is it gonna end with her staying and then all this drama throughout the whole, and it didn't. It ended up her leaving, which was
Yeah.
a twist that I didn't expect. But that opened the door for
For
Lieutenant Tala Kayali,
Golly.
species Kayali,
Yeah.
species also
Sorry.
Salayan.
Yep.
No, it's okay. Correct me. The names are ridiculously
You're no,
difficult.
it's hard. It's
Yes,
hard.
her real name is difficult. Jessica Soar. How would you
Yeah,
say
I'm gonna go with
Shore?
that.
I'm gonna go with that. She is biracial. She's so mixed and so beautiful. The actress, um, and she is such an incredible model that she does a lot of pictures you see on Instagram. I don't think I've seen her in anything else, which am going to be looking to see what else she's been in because I would like to see her in another role. I think
Yes.
she is excellent. She's a more mature security officer. She comes
Yes.
from a long line of Salayans who's joined the union, which is a thing. Their species doesn't do military.
Right.
They are big on not having a military. You go to college, you become a scientist, professor, that kind of thing. So for them to be in the military, it's a big deal. Um, and you've got that rebel kind of feeling to her. I mean,
Yes.
she literally punched her captain, the one prior to the captain in the Orville, in the face so
Yeah.
that the Genesis can help them. Okay. And we're going to talk about the Genesis later. But she is a strong character. Like, she's a powerhouse. She is so secure. She is the
Not
complete
just physically,
opposite.
but like
Yes.
character wise.
Emotionally.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that she is the representation of what Alara Katan can become as the
Yes.
years go by. What do you think
Yeah.
about what did you think of Tala and seeing her coming in and
I wasn't sure how we were gonna deal with it. It's like, oh great, another Chilean. Okay, so they're doing this, and then well, because sometimes it's like, when they change a character like that, and it's just like, oh god, okay, are they? I prefer that, like, I don't know how to say this, but if they go an entirely different direction than they were already
Mhm.
going, or what really annoys me is when they change an actor and don't change the character and don't say anything.
Yeah,
They
they
just
would have
go
put
on like,
her as Alana Katan. It's like, no,
yeah,
don't do that. How
and it's like,
1980s. They did that a
yeah,
lot in
it's
the
like I
80s
hated that. I'm like,
sitcoms.
wait, that's somebody else. No, I don't like that. But the way they did this, I thought it was well, because and then she's like you said, she's more emotionally and career, mature career wise, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
She knows what she's doing, and she's not. And yeah, they did kind of treat Alara, because she was so young, but Kiali has more experience, and I think the captain almost trusts her more because
Yeah, I
she's
think
older.
that exactly.
That's the
That
feel that I got.
experience. And I think
Right.
that even though he was hesitant when she shared the story as to why she had to punch the captain,
Yeah.
I mean, getting punched by a Salayan or a Mocklin, I will be concerned. I think he understood and respected that she will do what she has to protect the crew and the ship. And that's what you
Yeah.
want in a security officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want somebody that's just gonna let stuff slide. And like I said, the same about Kelly, that they need to challenge the captain. It's not just take the orders and go on. I mean, that most of it is take the orders and go on, but if there's a
Yeah.
questionable order, they should be able to challenge that and bring it to the light.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, before we go on, do we have any comments tonight that you want to highlight?
Yeah, we do. Just a second.
Excuse me.
Kristen
Hey,
is here,
Kristen, how are you? Welcome.
and then she said, when we were talking about Troy, and
Yes.
she agreed with us.
Yes, TNG did not do a good job with Troy. It was a huge missed opportunity. Absolutely. Because from the beginning, had they first of all put her in a uniform, the
Hmm.
image would have been completely different. Agreed 100%.
Right. Yeah, she wouldn't have started as eye candy and then gone to others, and she would have had, I mean, she did have huge story growth and character growth later on, but for here it was kind of rough. And then we
Absolutely.
have
Hey,
Claudia's here.
Claudia, how are you? Oh, Celine are fascinating species. Yes, agreed. They are very
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yes.
100% fascinating. But there's so many female characters on here
Yep,
that I
let's
want
go
to
to the
talk
next
about.
one.
Let's go on to the next one. One of my favorites. Can I just tell you, I
Cla-
love this actress, Dr. Claire Finn, species human, played by the beautiful, the incomparable, the irreplaceable Penny
Simple.
Johnston Gerald. Do you think I'm a fan? Am I
Just maybe
fangirl
a little
over?
bit.
I
Yeah,
am
you
in love with
are.
this woman. This woman is gorgeous. This woman is now in her 60s and she is gorgeous. Okay? She is a
Yes.
fantastic actress. I was introduced to her as an actress in D Space Nine, um, as Captain Cassidy Yates of a freighter
Yes.
captain. She was freighter captain, and of course the love interest, and then later wife of Captain Cisco.
Yes.
And listen, I envy her. She got to kiss Avery Brooks. That's all I gotta say.
Yes.
I mean, who doesn't envy someone who gets to kiss him? Okay. Um, but yes, she's beautiful. I love how they created this character. She's
Yes.
extremely intelligent. She's probably the third most intelligent person on that ship. I would say Isaac, John, which is the
Engineer.
engineer, now the chief of engineer, and then her. If not maybe her, then John. She holds several degrees. And I say maybe her even above John, even though in the show they literally say that outside of Isaac, John is the smartest person on the ship. And I say her before John only because she's got all these degrees. She also has the self assurance of her level of intelligence.
Mhm.
She knows what she knows and she knows it, and she knows what she doesn't know and she's okay with it, which is something that John is developing. It's being able to accept how smart he is. You know,
Yeah.
she's a mother of two
Yeah, that's what
boys.
I like about her, that she's a
I love
mom,
it.
so I relate to
Yes,
her in that aspect.
yes.
Just
I love the fact that she chose a captain with no experience to serve under. That really says something. He's like, I want to help this person to be the best that they can be. She's not thinking of herself because she could be on a heavy cruiser. She could be in charge of Union Medical with all
hmm.
those fancy degrees. But she's not. I mean, talk to me about.
I think that she has a lot of character development, growth, everything. I mean, she's very okay, depth is the word I was looking for. Um just because
Yes.
like how she has her relationship with Isaac, and then and then she has an ex-husband too that we see later on in the show,
Who's an
and then the
admiral?
really right, an admiral, jeez. And then and she's on this ship. She could have been anywhere she wanted to be, so this is
Hmm.
where she wants to be, which is, I
Yeah.
mean, that's good. And then she's a mom too, and then struggling with parenting, and it's and I appreciate that they portray it how it really is. It's not
You
all
talk to me
sunshine and
because her
rainbows.
kids are a pain in the neck. Her kids, like in our day, her kids would have been whooped. That's just how it used to be. So talk to me. You're a mom. How you not
Yeah,
whoop they butt? Talk to me.
because that's exactly what she struggles with, is that there's a fine line between, with love and discipline, and you have to find that medium and not being mean and ruining the relationship with your kids. You have to it's a fine line. It's like it's Occam's razor. It's, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Now she
And
made a comment once, and as a mom, I'm gonna throw the comment back at you
right.
and tell me what you think. In one of the episodes, she says parenting is mostly guesswork. Have I been doing making the wrong guesses? Is parenting guesswork? Is that character's view of parenting something you share?
Oh yeah, because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you can prepare, but like, even like this week, yesterday we were walking to the bus stop, and
Hmm.
she slipped in the mud and got covered in mud from head to toe, and it's like we had to
Ooh,
come back in, and that was, we were 2 seconds from her getting on the bus, and now we got to go in and start all over again. And nobody would have assumed that would have happened. It just
yeah,
happened. But
hmm,
like, and you can't prepare for that. How are you supposed to?
hmm, yeah,
You can, I've told her not to walk in the mud, and I've told her to walk on the sidewalk, and but you can't make them. You can tell them to do things till you're blue in the face,
yeah,
and you can try and prepare as much as you can, but there's always still something else that's going to happen,
yeah,
and they're going to do what they want, because they're, in reality, they are their own person. They're not an extension of you. It seems like it, but they are
hmm,
their own entity with their own decisions, their own thoughts, their own
yeah.
feelings,
Well,
and you have
it's
to
like
take
when
care of
she
them
came
too.
home from school and told you that boy called her the N word,
Yeah,
and you went on mama rage, like, all right, I'm gonna go handle this. She's like, no, I took
I
care
did
of it.
it. Yeah,
I
she's like, I did
handled
what I
it.
was supposed to do. I took it to the principal, and they took
Yep.
care of it. So it's like,
Yeah. And she was
okay,
satisfied with how
hmm,
it was handled, which is
right,
what you taught her.
yes,
Not
and that's
just the fact that those words are not okay.
yeah.
And I'm sure you were hurting that your daughter had to experience
Well,
such
yeah, because I don't
racism.
I don't want that for her, and I
Yeah.
don't I know I don't want that for anybody,
Yeah.
especially my child. I don't want it for anyone.
Yeah.
But
But it's a reality that she lives
that
in.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's rough.
Yeah, but that's when you
And
know that you've brought
parenting
them
is
up
guesswork.
right. Yeah, that's when
Yep.
you know you brought them up right. When they're able to, in those difficult moments, make those decisions. And you see that when they got
Hmm.
stranded, when they were going to the play planet and they
Yeah.
crashed, and you see how they interact with Isaac, and her oldest son interacts and says, okay, this is what's happening. We need to do this. Just hold his hand. Like he understands what needed to be done because he
Hmm.
learned this from her. So as
Yes,
I think that I think she's a good mother. I think so.
I
I
think
think
so
that
too.
she may struggle with difficult children, like, but I think that her
But
children are at the normal rate of development for them, for their
right.
age.
And something that I've always been told is, if you worry that you're doing the wrong things, and if that you're making mistakes, then you are a good mom, because good moms worry about that stuff. And
Yeah.
if you don't care, then that's, what I mean. It's like, I worry sometimes, like, am I doing the right thing with this one? Is this the right decision? Like she said, it's guesswork, and am I
Yeah.
making the right choices? And
Yeah.
it's all about being a mom and figuring it out.
Yep. And I love the fact that they created a character that was real.
Yes,
That
she's
was
she's
real.
probably
That's
the
a
realest
single
character to
mom.
me. Yes.
Yeah. Any comments or and that you want to highlight on Claire
Yes.
Finn, our beautiful,
Yes.
extraordinary Penny Johnson Jura? Yes, love her relationship with Isaac. Isn't her relationship with Isaac beautiful? I mean, here
I think
is
it is.
this um artificial life form who I think in his own artificial way does love them, her and her
Yes.
children. Because he did promise to take care of her and to take care of her descendants. That's huge. I mean, he loves in his own way. That's a
Hmm.
different way of loving. Yeah. Any other comments?
Yeah. And Joe's here.
Hey, Joe, what's up, brother?
And then he said,
Yes, he actually met her in one of the cons that he has gone to, and she absolutely loves his dog, which I met his dog.
Sarah,
Okay, I met
here's
him
your
too, but
reminder.
the dog was
Check your pins.
like my really, the dog was like the best. He is super sweet, his dog. And I don't blame her for loving the puppy. He is awesome. But yeah, but let's move on to the next
person.
a
Yes.
person in character, a very
Oh,
challenging character for me.
oh yeah.
Ensign Charlie Burke, a navigator, species human, played by the beautiful Ann Winters. What a talent this girl is. Have you heard her
Yes.
sing?
No.
Lovely voice. Lovely voice. She actually
Oh wow.
sings in one of the episodes a little tidbit with yeah, she does. And the voice is, oh my god, gorgeous. But she's got some issues. Talk to me, Sarah.
Well, I think that she's very. I mean, she's a real person too, though, because this is how people. People. What I was trying to say is things aren't always sunshine and rainbows, and people are allowed to have their feelings, and you want to try.
Oh, I think we lost her. She's probably having a little bit of a connection issue. Hold on. There we go. Bringing you back
Sorry.
in. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry.
But continue. This is
Just
what
that
happens when you have a live show.
that she is just that she's allowed to have those feelings, and that shows character growth too
Mhm,
from the show, that they are allowing her to have those feelings instead of just being, oh, I'm the pilot, and whatever. But she actually is struggling with those internal issues with
mhm.
Isaac, and
Yeah. I
how to
think
deal
she's
with
a
that.
representation of what Isaac represents after he betrays them.
Yes.
Because she says, I'm not the only one afraid. I'm not the only one who thinks you made a bad decision. Um, and it was the captain's decision. It was his plan. It was something that he presented to the admiralty. Let him stay on my ship, you know. And I think that it was that real. I mean, she lost someone that she
Yeah.
cared about. Um, and a lot of people died that were his friends during that battle with the Kalon. And I think that making a battle and then ignoring the aftermath would have been a bad writing plot. I think they took full advantage of the
Oh,
fact that they were able to talk about it further.
oh, should we talk about Wolf 359?
Exactly. Hello, Wolf 359 happens and he comes back as Captain Picard. They take
And
off all the
everybody says,
badges
okie
and
dokie.
everybody's supposed to be okay. But it was when Cisco was like, yeah, we've met in battle. It was the
Well,
first time that
and
I
then not
had
even
ever
him.
seen anyone challenge him on that.
Right, and then they continued that with Shaw. He
Yes. Everyone
and
said that Shaw treated them wrong. But a lot of people, I won't say everyone, but I think Shaw treated them according to how he felt and about
he
maybe a
Shaw.
lot of people felt.
I think Shaw and Charlie have a lot in common.
Yes.
That battle scarred,
Yeah.
remorseful. That, and they have that survivor's guilt.
Now,
And
how do you think Charlie's end was written? Because Charlie dies saving everyone and including the Kalon.
I
And she
think
knows she's going to die and she chooses to go.
I think she might have. I think it was written well, but I'm not sure that that's the way her character would have taken it. Does that make sense? It seems kind of almost out of character
Yeah.
for her.
I
That
think that they didn't develop the healing
right,
long enough for that decision to have been made. Because I
right,
feel like she went from point A of anger to H healing too quickly. But I
right.
can see. how maybe they didn't want to drag this on. So for television purposes, maybe that works, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it would have been nice had they had secured more seasons, to see that development go a little further. But I think
Yes.
that her dying the way she did was right for her character. I think at any point in time, her dying, saving others, was who her character wanted to be.
Well, I mean, and that goes back to the survivor's guilt thing, that
Hmm.
because she lost those people in the
Yeah,
battle, and and somebody close to her, but then she, why didn't I get, and that's, you always ask yourself that, why wasn't it me?
yeah,
And then this was her opportunity to, okay, it is going to be me, but
yeah,
still, it felt kind of out of character for me.
absolutely. Let's go on to one of my favorite alien characters, Havina. She's her species is a Moclan female played by the beautiful Rena Owen. First of all, I had to put a picture of her without
Hmm.
makeup of Moclan and one of her with the Moclan makeup. How different does she look? She's gorgeous.
You wouldn't even know that was under there.
No, I didn't. I didn't know who played her until I started putting all this together and realized how absolutely beautiful this actress is. Okay.
Yeah.
A little backstory with the Mocklins. They're an all male species, or like to be portrayed as an all male species, with one female every 75 years being born. And that isn't the case. More females are being born each year, and they're just hiding it by changing, giving them a transgender surgery as
Yeah.
babies,
They
and then
called
they
it
don't
gender
even tell
correction. Yeah.
them. They don't even tell them.
Yeah.
They don't even tell them. um and she was not altered. Her parents
Yes.
decided not to alter her, but had no resources. So they hid her in the mountains and
Right.
lived their life out there. She became one of Mockling's most prominent authors under a
A
pseudonym.
pseudonym. Yep.
Yes, a nom de plume. I love that word. A nom de plume of with a male name, a male Mocklin name, because she would have never. They would have found her. She would have been forced to change, have a change in gender surgery. I don't want to call it transgender surgery because I feel like it
No,
it's
that's a
not the
choice.
same. That's a
No, this
choice. Yes.
they called it gender correction
Gender correction, that's right.
yeah,
Um
because
I
they
feel
believed
like,
that the
yeah.
male was the proper, the right
Yes,
gender.
because they can't survive. The females can't survive in the harsh climate. But that climate that they're claiming is so harsh is one created by their own industry of
Right.
creating weapons of mass destructions and weapons for spaceships and so on. But this character, she is so elegant. Talk to me about your thoughts on this character.
Well, I really liked that she existed, and that, and that she had so much to say, and kind of knocked the rest of Mocklin society and the that high court on their butts, basically,
Yeah,
because they expected, well, we good females aren't good for anything and they can't survive. I'm like, okay, well, I'm your most celebrated poet and writer, so uh
yeah,
yeah, it just kind of, it made them question their reality and their view on things, and that may,
exactly.
and that's, it needed to be done.
Yeah,
It,
I mean, and they're fierce about not accepting the female gender, but they go even
yeah.
further. We have a comment by Claudia. I'm gonna put it up if you want to put it up.
Yeah.
Um, it says the Orville did such an interesting stories with gender.
Yes.
Claudia is right on point with that
Oh
comment.
my.
No, that was me. I think we were both clicking on it. My apologies.
Okay, I got
She's
it.
right on point with that story, with that comment, because they really did expand on the issue of gender. I mean, they went as far as having Tala have a kind of a mini relationship
Hmm.
with a Mocklin who was attracted to females, and it all had to be done in secret,
Right.
because if it wasn't in secret, then he would have been in prison. He tried to get out of it. He tried. It was this whole thing of, well, someone killed him. Where's his body? They.
Yeah.
But the what we learn is that they imprison people if you liked someone of a different gender, okay, to the point where your whole family suffers. And if you commit, you want to try to unalive yourself, your whole family suffers the indignity of it. And not too long ago, in the early e- even I think even in the 50s and 60s, early 60s, um homosexuals were in prison, were put in mental institutions, were considered deviant. It was actually in the mental health book.
Book, yes, as an
Yes,
illness.
as an
Yes.
illness, homosexuality as an illness. So I love science fiction because it addresses these things. And the Orville does a beautiful job in addressing this, and we are going to
Yes.
talk more about gender with another character that we are going to be looking at.
Yep.
But I mean, it is intense with the Mocklins. It's
Yes.
definitely intense with the Mocklins, and there's more Mocklin characters coming up. Uh, but we're gonna move on, and we're gonna let you in suspense with the Mocklin characters to one of the most interesting characters, which is, as a human, her name is Janelle Tyler.
Yes.
However, she is not human; she is Krill, and her name as a Krill is Leia. She's played by the beautiful McManus. Michaela McManus. And this is the same woman. The woman you see here as a human is literally in all that makeup as a Krill. And I think that they created, the Krill created Janelle Tyler in order to entice the captain so that they can take their secrets and their codes and attack, because the Krill is an enemy of the Union. But I think the way they created her suited the captain. They really knew how to create that character. Um, she was a little bit too girly for me as a human, but I
She's
think
kind of,
that
she kind of, and that might be because they were going from, you know, she's not a natural human, so they just kind of went with what they
thought would
assume,
entice the captain.
and what a human female would theoretically act like. So
Exactly.
who knows where they got that, if it was from TV or books or who knows, but
Yeah. We don't really know where their intel, the Krill's intel on female and male relationships come from. But they had enough that it actually worked.
yeah.
But she started out in the first episode that she was in, that Talea was in.
Hmm.
She was just a teacher, a trainer to little kids, training them to be soldiers, which is a whole different conversation altogether. But
But
she's an
that's,
instru- but sh- this is their Krill way, right?
yeah, that's their
And
society.
she ends up being a soldier who later becomes the leader of the Krill. Uh, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
she she stood strong on her beliefs.
Right.
Even though she ends up having a child that's half human, half Krill, and she hides her away. I mean,
Yeah.
she still rises to power in a world where men are still viewed as more powerful
Yes.
in the Krilled world. So I think that the way they wrote her as a Krill, I think I like that writing and
Yes.
that personality better than I did the Janelle. But again, the Janelle was coming from the Krill perspective, so I
But
get
then again, they're kind of polar opposites too.
it.
And that
Exactly.
and that
Hmm.
might be why they're like that,
Hmm.
because it's like she knows how to be a Krill, and then it's like, okay, so I got to be completely opposite from that
Hmm.
to be a human, and that she might have just overcorrected a little bit.
So talk to me, when she was revealed in the episode to be Talea, what came to your mind?
My mind was blown.
Mine too.
It was crazy.
Hmm. And when she ends up being the leader of the Krill, what goes through your mind then?
Well, my thoughts were that maybe because of her relationship with Ed, that she would um be able to negotiate maybe, but that ain't what happened. You know what I mean? I expected her, I was hoping, I guess I didn't expect, but I was hoping that because of her relationship and her intimacy with Ed, that she could use that to sway, not like expose it, but just that internal knowledge to help shape relations going forward.
I think that she was so angry that her brother died and this human fooled her in her own ship and her whole ship died, that she couldn't let go of that pain, and that pain and
Is what
anger
fuels her.
fueled her to become the leader that she was.
She's kind of
Yeah.
a B word. She's kind of a B word.
She is a little bit, but I think that, you know, I mean, they even
But she
address in
kind of has to be,
Orville.
because again, that's another male dominated society, and
Exactly.
to
And a
get the respect.
religious led society on top of that.
Yes.
So they even address in the Orville extreme religiousness, which is what,
Fanaticism and stuff
yeah,
like
the
that. Yeah.
fanaticism, which is what the Krills are. They're taking their teachings to the next level,
Yes.
that ankana to the next level and beyond. Absolutely. Um, and here's one of my
Yeah.
favorite characters who was only on one episode for a short little blip, but I think that it says so much about her. Her species is the Kelly. She's a Kelly female. Her name is Irelia, played by Alexis Knapp. She's got all these little spikes all over her, and I think it's beautiful. Kind of reminds me of Hellboy. Not Hellboy.
Pinhead.
Uh, yes, Pinhead. Yes, kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Um, but I like her character because she has a very her world has a very different view on arriving.
Yes.
And I think that that's really interesting because this is the episode where Isaac takes his own life, um, and shuts down his program, and everyone is, they don't know how to deal with that.
Right.
And she's like, no man, people and where I come from would be honored and celebrated for it, and and I think the fact that in the Orville, so many years ahead, we still have these same perceptions and ideas of taking one's life. It's really interesting to me. I'm not saying that it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm saying it's interesting.
Just the views on it, and the way that
It
different,
doesn't seem
and it's
has
the
it
way that
changed
different
much.
societies and different religions
Hmm.
look at things, though. It's just a different perspective on
Yeah, yeah.
things.
What did you think of her character?
I thought she was sassy and sexy,
She
but
was. She was kinda sexy for sure.
yeah,
Absolutely. And then we have the Genesis.
the Janice.
These is a matriarchal species, where women are in charge.
Mm-hmm.
However, unlike the Mocklins, when you're born a male, um, you don't go through a change in gender.
Yeah.
You are, though, treated like a slave, basically.
Yep.
Okay? You're not taught how to read or write. You're not given any position of authority. You're there to serve the female. The females are in charge. Um, and I think they are no different than the Mocklins in my view. They're taking their position to an extreme.
Yep.
I think that when you can have equality, and people can be seen uh, for their skill sets and not their gender, um, that's when you have a society that has surpassed that ideal. What do you
Right.
think of the Genesi?
I thought they were powerful, and I liked that the women had power, and then they figure out how they have power, and then it's like,
Mm, yeah,
because it's like, yeah, we don't condone slavery of any kind, and that's
yeah,
just, no, that's not okay.
yeah, exactly. I think that when one gender overpowers another, regardless to which one is doing the overpowering,
Right.
nothing good comes from that. Nothing good,
Right.
at
There needs to
all.
be balance. Yeah.
And I didn't think that them switching authorities and making the men subservient and the women in charge was the right way to go. I think the captain was off on that. I think they should have came to the Genesi straightforward. What do you think?
I agree with you. I mean,
It didn't
it
work
was
for me.
well, and it's still. I mean, it's still subservience, and no, I still.
Yeah. Okay. We are having a little technical difficulty, but give me one second. She'll be back, definitely. She probably got a little internet issue. So just give her a moment and she'll be back. But yes, the Genesi definitely were in charge. Um, and these species really thought very little of the male gender. This is again what Claudia stated, that the Orville did such an interesting storylines with gender, and this is just another part of that. More, gender episodes, right? And here she comes, Sarah. It's okay.
Sorry.
Don't worry.
I
Technical
don't know what just happened.
difficulties.
I was there, and then all of a sudden everything was gone. Like it was just
I
the
threw you
studio
out.
was
I
gone.
was done with you. No.
Well, yeah, it was like I got kicked out of the studio. It said rejoin it said you've left the studio. I'm like,
Rude. You did
what the
leave the
heck?
studio.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyways, sorry.
absolutely. But no, no, that's okay. I was just kind of ending our Janice's
No, that's fine.
covers. So we're gonna go to, is she a villain? Is she a victim? Is she a good guy or a bad guy? Her fake human name was
Yeah.
Layla Channing. Her real species was Inval, not human, but she was playing herself as a human, played by the actress Allie Kay. I think that's correct pronunciation. I apologize if
I
it's not.
maybe Eiley.
This is amazing. Her character, a
Yes.
character that comes from that's an inval, which species the blood is so potent that when it comes into contact with regular oxygen and regular air, like on Earth, any planet whose air and oxygen is like Earth, they can't come in contact with them because if they bleed, they blow everything up
Yeah.
catastrophically. Their blood becomes this powerful weapon of
She
mass
is a weapon
destruction.
of mass destruction.
Yeah, anywhere outside of her home world, she's a weapon of mass destruction. Yeah. So, were you surprised at the twist?
Yes.
Absolutely, me too. I was not expecting that.
No.
And what did you think of the character? And
Well, I thought it was kind of shady that she was pretending to be something she wasn't, but then I also understand why she did what she did. Um, trying to, you know, and I'm a mom, so it takes me back to like Elsa from Frozen. Conceal it, don't feel it.
yes,
I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but that's the kind of vibe that it's given me. That she needed to survive. She needed to hide.
yes. And I think that she got in league with someone who was equally damaged by the krill. And decided, let's do this together. I mean, he got in a shuttlecraft with her. You've got to be seriously determined to come to have your plan come to fruition when you get into a shuttlecraft with an involve, knowing that
Yeah.
you're going to be under attack. And if she bleeds, you can go
Mm,
kapooey.
yeah. I
And
mean,
he
you
was
have to
a
be very
one man,
committed.
yeah. And he was a one man war.
Yeah.
He didn't want peace.
It was that fanaticism again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a different kind of fanaticism. It
But I
wasn't
think,
religious, it was
yes.
revenge motivated.
But here we go, the writers, brilliant writers, showing you the difference between how people react to post traumatic stress,
Oh
to
yeah.
situations of distress and trauma in real ways. I can see that. I can see someone going, no, I'm going to hold on to my anger and I'm going to go out there and do something.
Yeah, you don't always have
That's
to,
real.
just because somebody tells you you need to let it go and get over it doesn't mean that you can.
Exactly. Exactly. And now we are here. Now we're going to go back to the Mocklins. We have
Yeah.
here Topa.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh.
hold on. No, that's not Topa. Topa. Topa is a Mocklin who was born a female Mocklin, but underwent the gender correction
Yes.
surgery and was made male without her consent. She was changed to male, given the name Topa, and we have actually two actors who play this character. The male Topa is
Yeah.
played by Blesson Yates, and the female Topa is played by Imani Palum.
Hmm.
Beautiful girl, by the way.
Yes.
And this actor these actors really had to, I mean, here we have when Topo was male and growing up, he was very aggressive towards the females, but then something happens. She starts to realize he starts to realize he's off. There's something off about him. There's
Well, and
something
then
different.
and that might be, kind of the same thing is like with the reasons why people bully. It's like they see something in somebody else that they recognize in themselves and they need to
Yeah.
distance themselves from it. So um Toba being aggressive to the females might be because maybe she was jealous,
Yeah. I mean,
you
I
know.
think that here we go back to a society that does not view the female gender at all as acceptable, to the point where her wanting to go back to female became so contentious that they were like, no, we're leaving the union if you do that. And we're taking our weapons with you. And da 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 da.
Yeah.
And this poor child was put in the middle of this. And I like how the writers didn't write the union as in, oh, yeah, let me back up the child. Because in reality, I don't see any military or any government that is just going to be, oh, yeah, we're just going to let all our weapons go to protect the child. I
Yeah,
think
no.
that they look at things in a bigger picture kind of way and go, no, we want the weapons.
Yeah, and that's and
Yeah.
that'd be like the major difference between the union and the federation, because the federation would have been like, "Oh, we got to protect the child at all costs," and
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
But this
But
is more
yeah,
reality based, I think, because this is, I mean,
yeah,
everybody wants to protect her, but in reality, what impact is that going to have?
yes, absolutely. Um, but yeah, this is an amazing um array of female characters that have been written really well by them, and I think it's pretty fantastic.
Yes,
But we're gonna go now to our female scientist segment.
I'm ready.
All right. So talk to me. What's going on?
Okay. What does the most ravishingly beautiful actress of the 1930s and 40s and the inventor whose concepts were the basis of cell phone and Bluetooth technology have in common? They are both Hedy Lamarr. The glamour icon who was the inspiration for Snow White and Catwoman, as well as the technological trailblazer. She was born Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler in Vienna, Austria-Hungary, in the Austro-Hungarian Alliance in 1914. After a brief film career in Czechoslovakia, she fled from her first husband, Fritz, a wealthy Austrian ammunitions manufacturer, and secretly moved to Paris. You have to remember this is around World War One, so she fled. Uh, Traveling to London, she met the MGM studio head who offered her a movie contract in Hollywood. She became a film star with performances in several popular films. Her greatest success was as Delilah in Cecil B. DeMille's Samson and Delilah in 1949. She was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1960 and retired from the limelight soon after that. As if being a beautiful, talented actress was not enough, Hetty was also a gifted mathematician, scientist, and innovator. Alongside composer George Antheil, She patented the secret communication system during World War II. Her idea, now referred to as frequency hopping, pertained to a way for radio guidance transmitters and torpedo receivers to jump simultaneously from frequency to frequency. This Hollywood star's invention sought to put an end to the enemy's interception of classified military strategies, signals, and messages. While the technology of the time prevented the feasibility of frequency hopping at first, the advent of the transistor and its later downsizing propelled Lamar's idea far into the military and eventually the cell phone industry. Hetty introduced a technology that would serve as the foundation of modern day Wi Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth communication systems. Her creation of the frequency hopping, which holds an estimated worth of 30 billion, was patented by her and the composer, and it led her to receive the Pioneer Award of Electronic Frontier Foundation, as well as the Invention Convention's Buble Gnass Spirit Achievement Award in 1997. After many years in seclusion, Lamar died in 2000 at the age of 85. In 2014, Lamar was posthumously inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame for frequency hopping spread spectrum technology. She was an unusual and accomplished woman, spurned as too beautiful to be smart, but a role model to this day, not only in Hollywood, but also in STEM.
Yes, isn't that amazing?
She's,
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
and it's crazy that she was such an iconic sex symbol in the 30s and 40s, and she also invented something that we use every day. I mean, we're using
yeah,
it right now.
yeah. It was the platform for these things that we use today, and
Yes.
I'm sure she never thought it would be this big.
No, I'm
You
sure she
know,
did not.
but we are gonna go quickly to our next segment,
Yep.
which I love this. This is a fantastic book called from Isaac Asimov and is The Robots of Dawn. It is a robot series book. This is the first book of it. The book is set about a millennial into the future where there are two advances, one being human history with the colonization of the galaxy and robots with positronic brains. The human character the human main character, Detective Elijah Bailey, is called to the spacer world of Aurora to solve a robicide. The prime suspect of the robicide is a robotic expert, but the detective's job is not to prove the roboticist guilty but innocent, and it takes you through the journey of uh the robots. And if you've ever seen the movie I Robot, this is where they come from. Isaac Asimov wrote that book, and this is part of that series.
Yes.
It is quite fantastic, um, and I really recommend the book. But we're gonna go quickly to our next segment. It is
Yes.
almost that time. Um,
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about a few podcasts here quickly. We got, of course, my buddy VHS Jace. If you're into the nostalgic journeys, check out his page and subscribe. He will definitely take you there. He's also with Pop Culture Spread, and him and Rick do every Friday and Saturdays. They have an amazing updates on TV shows and movies, pop culture, with a little bit of an Australian twist. And they also give you some information on Australian. Commercials and sort of iconic things from Australia, which I love to learn. And they've got Jason and Jace at the Roy Gaston channel, where they have quite a few things going on. They got the VHS Vault. They got the Power of J Skull, and also If You Disagree, You're Wrong. Those are the three channels that they do podcasts on, and they're pretty funny. So check them out. We got the Captain's Quadrant, which we will all be going to right after this to see them every Thursday. Captain's Quadrant is there at 9 p.m. and they do all things Star Trek. He also has the Council Room where he's talking about all things Doctor Who
Woohoo.
uh, at To Be Seen. So check them out. And Nerdy Up North. They got Nerdy Up North, Monster Up North, Trekking Up North, Gaming Up North. These guys just have an amazing collaboration with lots of different podcasts. Check them out. They are pretty fantastic. And the Phoenix Sisters, I really want to get to them today. Today starts an amazing charity that they're in. They have a fantastic podcast. Check them out. They're super fun. The charity starts today until the 28th, and they're just going on 20 with tons and tons of different podcasts. I started watching it before I came on here, and it was great to hear the story behind comics books for kids, which they provide comic book for children who are undergoing chemotherapy treatments or in cancer centers throughout the U.S. And if you can't, if you have to financially contribute, please go to the channel, follow them, check out their different ways to contribute. If you can't financially contribute, please contribute by watching, liking, sharing, and telling others about it. And I also came across this new podcast called the
Mm.
Silver Screen Podcast. They also had Hit or Miss Star Trek, which the Silver Screen does movies, and the Hit or Miss does all things Star Trek. These guys are so much fun. Check them out, Mike Wilson. I actually will be on. Um, the Phoenix Sisters come in March. I will let you guys know when that date and time and all that information so you can join us. And I'm also going to be on the Silver Screen Podcast and Hit or Miss in
Yeah.
April. And I'll let you guys know all that information once I are they out in the UK. So if you're looking for something in the UK, these are the guys. And we've got Earth Station Track. These guys are fantastic. You got to check them out. They did a whole series on Star Trek wines and Romulan ale, and they're just
Ooh.
so much fun. So much fun. They're like taste testing all of them. It's so much fun.
Oh, that would be
Um,
fun.
in our next episode here on the Sci-Fi Queens is going to be um, on the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Now, the actual International Day of Women and Girls in Science is February 11th. Our show will be on February 9th, and we will have a special guest, which will not be announced. You have to come and check it out. So that is definitely something that you want to check out. Okay. And join us for. We're going to celebrate women and girls in science. So this is a day that's taken out specifically for that. Um,
Yes.
and it's going to be great. Absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Um, and any last words?
No, I'm excited for what's to come.
Excellent. Yes, me too. We got a lot of wonderful things. February, we have an extra show for you on February because we're dedicating one show specifically for Black History Month, and we're going to celebrate uh, Black females in science fiction. And specifically, I'm actually reading a book right now, which I'm not going to tell you about, but that's going to be the February book that we're going to be showcasing on that day, which is a Black female sci-fi author. I've been really looking into getting more female authors in science fiction of diverse cultures. So if you guys have any suggestions, please let us know after the show. Leave it in the comment section, and I'll check out the book. If you have any female scientists or that's technology, science, astrophysics that you want Sarah to check out, leave it in the comments after the
Yes. Please give me some suggestions if you want to hear about somebody.
Yes, absolutely. We want to bring you the diversity of the different cultures, ethnic, age groups, all of these things. So
Yes.
definitely participate and we will bring that to you. But we're going to end the show here tonight. We're going to be going over and checking out Captain's Quadrant after.
Quadrant. Yep.
And thank you so much. And we will see you guys again on February 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our new channel so that you can get notified when new videos come up. Thank you